Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. I have Karen. Is it Norheim? I'm always terrible with last names.
That was perfect. Norheim it is. Good job.
And you're from American Crane and Equipment Corporation. Can you give us a brief background of what American Crane is, where you guys are located, and what your main products and services are?
Absolutely. So I'm Karen Norheim. I am president and COO of American Crane and Equipment Corporation. We are a leading manufacturer of overhead cranes and hoists. And we are located just outside of Philadelphia, about 45 minutes in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We have approximately 170 employees. And really cool stuff that we build. It's really awesome because we're kind of a tool, right, that goes into manufacturers as well as we do a lot of work in energy and aerospace. But yeah, we pick stuff up, put it down, and we do some really high tech versions of that.
So I have to ask this because my family is actually from the East Coast. I was born in Canandaigua, New York, and my family is diehard Buffalo Bills fans. So this year was crazy for them. They were actually really excited. So are you a Steelers fan being from Pennsylvania, or do you not watch football?
I am from the Philly side, so that would be an Eagles fan. So yes,
Oh, okay.
I am an Eagles fan. We've had quite the controversy this year, but I'm still holding true to my Philly side. So no Steelers for me, strictly Eagles.
Gotcha. Well, I took a look at your website before we got on today, and the cranes that you make are just phenomenal. They're amazing. And before I started at PhotoFab, I actually worked for a CNC machining company in Rockford, Illinois, and they added a new addition to their building. And part of that addition was a huge crane on the ceiling that had to move back and forth. So how did you get involved with American Crane? I know that your profile on LinkedIn said that your father was involved in manufacturing. So is that your connection with American Crane? How did you get involved with that?
Yep, absolutely. American Crane is my father's business. And years ago, he recruited me to come and work for him. At the time, I was really not all that into manufacturing. Like, how cool can this be? What are these things called? Cranes and hoists. It's just kind of like, I don't know about this, Dad. But really, he's always been a role model for me. So I decided to give it a shot. And it turns out I made one of the best decisions of my life. I love my work at American Crane. I really found my passion for manufacturing. And I get to work with amazing people every day, including my dad. And, manufacturing is so amazing, right? Because we get to take things from a piece of paper into physical existence. So it's been an incredibly rewarding thing. But really, if not for my father, I may never have gotten into manufacturing or come to American Crane.
It's funny that you say that because my dad has always been in manufacturing his entire life. When we were younger, his first job was actually at Fisher-Price making the wood toys. Awesome. So we have a lot of the old school wood toys. And I'm a writer by trade, a technical writer, and I just happened to fall into manufacturing by accident. And while I was transitioning from from regular university to grad school, I actually worked in a cutting tool shop that he was president of. And it was a bear to work for him because since I was his daughter, he treated me a little more harshly than the other people because I think he just didn't want to play favorites. So he would yell at me for things that I didn't have any control over. And I'm like, this is not my responsibility. And he's like, I don't care, just fix it. So I had to figure out who to go to. But it ended up being fun, and I learned a lot from him, and I still learn a lot from him today. So it's just weird how things fall together. Yep. I also checked out one of your videos that was really inspiring and just got me pepped up for this morning. And it had Grit Matters, and I see that's on your hoodie. Yep. And that's one of your hashtags on your LinkedIn profile. So can you explain to me what Grit Matters means and why it's so important to include that with your company?
Absolutely. So our mantra is grit matters, perseverance, heart, and integrity. And what that is how we choose to do business, and how it represents our culture at American Crane. What happened was, I've been now here for 18 years, and me taking on the leadership role has really been happening over the last 3 to 4. So what I realized was, as I was taking over for my father, he had created a great culture, but in order to keep it, I had to lock that in, and it wasn't written down on paper. My father's from Norway, so we used to call it old Viking laws, that nobody wrote down, but we really needed to lock that in, or we were going to lose this in the long run. So Grit Matters was that reboot. We started that in 2018. And it was just kind of locking in our rules of the road. What are our Viking laws? How do we choose to do business? How do we choose to interact with each other? And it's been really an incredible journey. And I really believe that the word grit represents who I am, who my dad is, and who all of our amazing employees are. It's been really wonderful, and very, very important that we did that hard work, as we've faced many challenges since then, and especially last year.
And falling into that, we all were affected by the pandemic and COVID and had to change how we do things. How did the pandemic affect the way you were doing business, and what sort of things did you have to, kind of restructure with your strategy to make sure that you guys were still in operation and keeping your employees safe?
Yep. Well, I happened to be, when everything was going down with the pandemic, I happened to be in DC. So I had a chance to visit the White House, actually, and I was visiting with staff members there. And I saw how they started to close things. There were meetings in Congress, right, and the Senate, and everything was getting canceled. And I got really freaked out, and that was really early. So when that happened, I came back home and I was like, wow, this is a big deal. This is like no joke. So what we did is we compartmentalized our business, into thirds. We had a third of our manufacturing staff who had to be here, our service technicians who were out on the road, and then anybody who could actually go home, and work from home, took their workstations, whether they were engineers or not, and went back and is still working remotely. And that allowed us to really continue to operate. I mean, amazing people are why this happened, because I have amazing IT staff who managed to get teams up and running in a week, which normally would take us a year, to, great staff on my shop floor and in service who just kind of rolled with the punches to figure out new ways to communicate. We rolled out a text communication system in a couple of days. Just amazing movement to keep us able to operate. And then once we were able to figure out, okay, well, we can do this. We know all our protocols, all the standard stuff everybody's doing with masks and all that. How do we get to the business at hand? And that really, there were real problems that we faced just in our industry. We were having supplier delays. We were having, customers delaying contracts. There's general, what I call friction costs from the whole situation, because it just takes more time sometimes to do things. So anyway, rose to the occasion, team has pulled through. We are doing well as a company in spite of, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I'm really hoping for a brighter 2021. But I will say, to your question of, what is the biggest thing that you did maybe, or what is the kind of the thing that sticks out in my mind for how we changed the way we do business? I think the biggest piece of it was this digital transformation that happened, where we basically went 3x over what we would normally do in 6 months or a year. So, between remote collaboration tools, so we could continue to work, and our engineering department could still collaborate with each other and with those that were here in person, to tools to reach our customers. We now can do remote factory acceptance tests, new technology for design and how we do electronic signatures.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of innovation that happened, and my big thing is there was pain from all of this, and we're going to keep all of that good innovation that happened. Our plan is to keep it, build upon it, and make that one of these opportunities that come out of a crisis.
So It's also on your LinkedIn profile that you won an award recently. Can you touch base on what that is and how that came about? Were you nominated? What were sort of the
And
things that went into that?
I think we're talking about the Thomas Nat Champion for Industry Award.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was nominated for that award as just someone who is, an advocate for manufacturing and a role model and who really believes in our industry, and super honored to have been selected for that. And yeah, I really think that our industry is so awesome, and there's so many amazing things that are made, right here in the U.S. and just really, really exciting place to work, great opportunity. And so I feel that it is really important, especially as a leader, to be a role model and to be out there. You never know who you can touch to say, hey, like, this is my career, this is what I'm doing, and inspire someone else to come and be a part of what we do. I think it's really important because you just, there was a woman years ago who touched me at a conference who, she was a leader. It was early on in my career here, and she just made such an impact, and she had no idea who I was. She was just a leader up on a panel, profound impact. And so if I can do even a small minutia of that, I think it's important to pay it forward.
So speaking of role models and creating an impact, one of my goals for Mavens of Manufacturing is to have a platform that inspires younger generations, specifically women as well, to get more involved in manufacturing and look into the sector as a possible career pathway for their future. So as a women leader in the manufacturing sector, how has your journey been? Has there been a lot of challenges within your industry pertaining to you being a female? What sort of things as a female in the industry do you see as still challenges for women or great opportunities for women?
Well, I was fortunate to come into my father's business. So I came into an environment where I was the boss's daughter. So I didn't have a lot of, I think, some of the issues that other women have had, breaking barriers. I had already, was really fortunate and grateful to come in with him as my advocate. But that being said, our even today, our population and percentage of women that we have is really not where I would like it to be as far as representing the diversity that we have just in general. We want to work on that. So I'm always looking for ways and other best practices on how to hire. And we're making headway. We're making inroads. But the biggest issue that I've seen, and also from my work with women in manufacturing, they've done some studies, is that, literally there just is not enough awareness about the careers that we have and the opportunities that we have, and understanding that this could be a great place for a female to come and work, and a male too. But we need to get people to understand what kind of opportunities, and whether you want to be someone who's working CNC machines or on the shop floor, or someone who wants to be an engineer, or even in accounting, or in sales or project management. There's so many great aspects that go into this.
Or a writer.
Or a writer, absolutely. So I think the road is really bright, and I often like to say that we've been walking the trail, and there's a trail, and we're there. And you can see I'm not very shy, so I don't mind being a trailblazer. But what we need to do is make it so that it's not just something that we're pushing people to see. They just see that this is a pathway, the bricks are laid, the friction of trying to see this as an opportunity is gone. So it's just it is here, and if this is your passion, and you find some excitement, which there's so many exciting things that are made, and just aspects of this that you have, how to go and get involved and make this a choice to become a part of the Mavens of Manufacturing, as you call them. I love that. Great intro, by the way. Love your intro.
Thank you so much. I had help from a friend that did that. We were trying to select what music to put with it, and we came across that music, and he was kind of like, I don't know. And I'm like, I love it. We're using that. That's what we're going with. Are there things in the community that American Crane is involved in that you take part in, or even maybe some events that you've created yourself to invite community members into American Crane, or just invite members of different educational institutions around the area to just have chats with you and learn more about yourself or the things that you're doing at American Crane? Do you provide internships or apprenticeships? Like, what sort of things are you doing to get more women involved and younger generations involved?
So we have a big push to be in outreach, which is connecting with our local high schools and elementary schools, actually, as well as universities. And you know, I'm always open to chat with groups. I'm going to be doing a video for our local high school, Danny High School, which I actually went to high school at. And you know, recording that. So basically, I offer up my time. You know, they say in philanthropy, what is it? Time, talent, and treasure. So we really try to offer up our time and talent to help, because, you know, some of these high schools really just want a few minutes of your time, and it makes such a big impact. And it's really, you know, I think it's important that we do that. And then treasure too, you know, we do try to offer and sponsor things related to STEM. We also have our crane. There are crane people out there, the Crane Manufacturers Association of America, which actually I am president of this year. First female president of the CMAA. Great group, really wonderful group. But we actually created a crane game a couple years ago, which is in virtual reality. So we would take that to high schools and let them put on the VR headset, experience what it's like to be in a factory floor and actually move the crane around in VR. Now, unfortunately, COVID has made it a little more difficult. Nobody wants to be putting the headsets on, and we're not really in person, but we hope to revive some of those fun efforts. And we also do plant tours. We've had teachers come in and different capstone projects that we've done with Penn State, which is local. And yeah, I think that's all really important to fill the pipeline. And you know, obviously we're in our local area. We hope we fill the pipeline and people come to us eventually and apply. But I think in general, just promoting STEM careers in general is really important for the manufacturing industry at large, so that we just get people to find their passion. And if their passion lies in those areas, we want them to at least have had a chance to think about it.
Does American Crane have any available positions open now that you're trying to find good talent for?
We are currently hiring for a controller. And, you know, we have retirees that are coming through. So the woman who's our controller has worked at our company for almost 40 years. And she's amazing, but it's, you know, we're looking for that next generation. So a controller. And then we also are looking for service technicians who go out and travel across the country or in our local region to do service on our equipment and repair. An amazing group, the service group. So yeah, if anybody's interested, we go on our website, go to our careers area or americancrane.com/careers and apply. And, you know, I'm pretty sure we will be also hiring for potential project manager later this fall. And of course, more service techs. That's really a big position for us right now. And we do internships. We're a little more informal about it because of our size, but we're looking to really, we're always a work in process, right? The road to success is always under construction. But one of our big initiatives is to have enhanced training programs going forward, so that when we bring people in who might not have the skills right away, we can get them up to speed faster for the service group or for other areas of the shop. So we have a big focus on that and hope to have a more formalized apprenticeship program. And again, hopefully, you know, try to do more interns again. We stopped last summer just because of COVID and dealing with the situation, but we really need to get back there. We can't let that lapse. I think it's important on many levels.
And internships too are great because whether they're paid or not, a lot of eager kids sometimes are just thankful and grateful for that experience. And Absolutely. If it goes towards, you know, their academics, that paycheck's not always necessary, I've noticed. So they're really great for that. Now, not to get too political, because I know that can be a sensitive subject, but we have a new president, and he has signed an executive order called Buy America. So with this new administration, is there anything that, you know, you're looking forward to within manufacturing, that you're hopeful for, that you're kind of questioning? What sort of things are you hoping to see this new administration do to help benefit manufacturers within the United States?
Yeah, well, I think what's really kind of exciting, and it's happened over a couple of years, is that manufacturing, people talk about it. Like, we're in the news, we're talked about. They talk about our industry. They talk about us and the portion of the industry that we make up. So I'm hoping that because they're talking about Buy America, and they're still talking about the manufacturing and saying those words, that they continue to give attention to our world, which just helps for awareness for people saying, well, maybe this is a career area I want to be in, and I do think we're growing in one of the shining points of the economy, in spite of a really tumultuous time, right?
Yeah.
Manufacturing is still growing, and we still have positions that we're having difficulty filling. So I think we're part of that positive story about what's going on right now. So I hope that the Buy America, we build all of our equipment in the U.S. We do source some components from overseas, but primarily everything is built here in Pennsylvania, and we're really proud of that. So I like the idea of some of the critical infrastructure coming back in the U.S. and I think that could be, a good boom for us. So we'll have to see what happens, but I'm feeling optimistic. And now that we know who's there, we can deal with what's going on. We just need to know what the rules of the road are so we can make strategic decisions. And I think in general, I'm feeling very optimistic.
I know a previous guest that I had on too, she was really excited because with the last tariffs that were in place, it kind of limited, some of those bridges that we had. And I think it's necessary that we have those connections. Like, your dad came from Norway, mm-hmm. and I've been involved with other companies in former positions, and their family background was in Austria or Germany, and they still had really strong ties to their partners in those other countries. Mm-hmm. And it just helped them overall with, just building new relationships and new partnerships, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. So it is a really exciting time. And I think one big misconception is that some people think manufacturing is just the gritty stuff and the dirty stuff and the oily stuff. And there's so much more, especially with newer technologies that are coming out. But just the giant hoists and cranes that you guys deal with is just amazing to me, how those are built and work and operate. And I'm around Pennsylvania. I'm going to probably come up and knock on your door for a company tour. My two little boys, anytime we drive by construction stuff or the cranes that are building buildings, they freak out in the car and want me to stop and go take a look at it. And one of these days I'm going to have to go up and see if we can just talk to the crane operator, because that would just make their day.
Well, you're always welcome to come to a tour as we open up. So to your point on thinking that it's just gritty. Now, grit to me isn't really about dirt. Grit is about overcoming obstacles, right? Although I don't mind getting my hands dirty, it's really about overcoming and pushing through in spite of things you have to overcome. But we have an innovation lab where we're actually playing with RealWear headsets that are like Google Glass kind of things. We're working with VR for mapping how we do electrical panels, so we can do virtual walkthroughs. We're considering and actually have already done things related to the Internet of Things of cranes for remote maintenance and monitoring. We do additive manufacturing, so we actually already have products that have pieces that are produced via 3D plastic printing, and we're expanding on that. So there's a lot of exciting technologies happening, and that's just in our industry. And honestly, I love cranes. I'm super into it, and we do the ones that are inside of buildings. Very, mm-hmm. It's older technology. There's not a whole lot besides the controls and how you move things. And really a lot of these modernizations that are coming with the digital advancement. But for other industries, there's some really exciting things happening with just their products and development. So, it's a very exciting space to be in right now. And we have just scratched the surface of what they call Industry 4.0 for at least, right? I mean, you've got the huge manufacturers who are kind of helping us by paving the way and showing us how to use things. And now, companies more my size are starting to come on board and figure out ways to play and eventually walk and run with that. So it's exciting. I'm having fun.
Are you using any type of VR or AR for training purposes, or is it just more for showing?
Well,
what
I
the trainings are.
had the pleasure of presenting in VR a couple weeks ago, which was super cool. And I was able to show a model of my crane in my hand, and it was a hoist actually. And
That's really cool.
yeah, it was really cool. But the VR, we don't formally have training in there yet, but we're planning on looking at ways. I'm a big believer of you've got to that they say crawl, walk, run with technology. So we're in a crawling phase with it and playing with it, understanding it. I have several of my leadership has headsets. We're going to be meeting on the moon in a virtual setup to kind of get used to using this technology. But I do foresee absolutely training as being one portion of that, and really, it makes it so much easier because we have, so this presentation that I did, I was able to have a crane in my pocket, right, which is a huge, big crane that we talk about, and I could bring it into the space. There's all kinds of opportunities that come with that. So I think that's going to be a big area of excitement for sure.
That's really cool. I'm getting excited because I'm a huge comic book nerd and Star Wars nerd. So anytime they Tony Stark in the Avengers, anytime he brings up his cool little things with his hands and stuff, and Star Wars with the holograph, I freak out about it. So I'm just like really waiting for all that stuff to come to fruition and play around with that.
It's coming. I did all of my personal goal planning. I did in VR and something called Spatial I have virtual rooms where I go in and brainstorm and think about things. So,
that's really cool.
Yeah, there's some neat things going. And there's another group called Utopian that I work with, and they're launching something called New Gene, which is NYOUGENE, New Gene. There's a story behind the name, but what they're doing is trying to create a global platform for education, and this is for industry to do education, but also for universities and schools. And I hope to eventually be able to sponsor subscriptions through the philanthropic stuff that I like to do for high schools and things. When it comes further along, it's still new in its creation, but their idea is to provide that as an education tool. And it's, a heck of a lot more fun and actually more effective to learn about, just how to talk to people, maybe as a leader. How do I give feedback, or how do I do tough situations if I have to, let go of somebody or give somebody feedback that isn't good? You can do that in VR with an avatar, and it feels pretty darn real. And what a great way to learn,
That's really awesome. Well, that was all my questions for you today, Karen. Is there anything else that you would like to add before I let you go?
No, just thank you so much for having me. Super, super exciting. And on the outreach side, if anybody is interested in our area or whatever, wants to reach out, feel free to check out our website. And I love what you're doing. Very, very cool stuff.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate it too. I was so nervous to start this. I've always had a passion with interviewing people and learning new stories. My husband, he gets annoyed with me because he's just like, you just met this person and you basically asked for their entire life story. And I'm like, well, they could have just said, stop talking to me or stop asking questions. And I'm like, they didn't. So I'm going to keep asking questions. And sometimes we call it the Midwest goodbye. It literally takes us like maybe 20 minutes to say goodbye to people because we just keep talking. So he gets kind of annoyed with me when I
but it's important that you're pulling those stories out. I mean, that's how we learn, is through storytelling. That's how we get inspired, is through storytelling. So I think it's awesome, and I thank you for your efforts.
Well, thanks so much again. And thank you to everyone that joined us today. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for next week. We have another great guest for next week's Mavens of Manufacturing. Have a great day, everyone. Bye. This has been another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Subscribe for more and make sure to tune in next time.